So we're looking at scenes from Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference yesterday, where, among other things, Apple announced a new map app that further places Apple in competition with Google. The two companies already compete in the smartphone area with their two very popular operating systems. And here to talk about that rivalry is Jessica Vascellaro from San Francisco. How you doing, Jessica?
I'm great, thanks.
So what did we learn from Apple yesterday that might give us new insight into this rivalry with Google?
So as expected, Apple unveiled a new mapping app for iPhones and iPads that's going to replace the one they've been using that was built by Google. But that was actually only the first step in volleys at Google yesterday. Apple also unveiled a lot of new enhancements to its virtual assistant Siri that creates new ways to sort of find and discover information that also uses Google but also doesn't use Google. So between Siri and Maps, I think there was a lot of signs that Apple's really looking to go head-to-head with Google.
And it seems like the companies have at times tried to downplay it, but Apple yesterday was even more overt in sort of referencing, even slyly mentioning, slyly some references to Android.
For sure. Actually, the event opened with a joke delivered by a virtual Siri that was pointing fun of the different code names or the different names for different versions of Android, which are all desserts. And Siri accused Ben and Jerry of writing those names. So, there's always been some of that sort of playfulness between the companies. And Apple has always been, very keen to point out where it thinks its sort of mobile platform, iOS, is better than Android. There was a lot of that yesterday, showing that they're continuing to try to one-up Android. And, it's really important to Apple. Sort of the mobile ecosystem for Apple, iPhone, iPad is really its growth driver right now. And Android phones as a whole, sort of eclipse iPhones in sales. So it makes sense that they're going after Google.
And these guys have these two companies have a very interesting relationship. Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, used to be on Apple's board. Larry Page and Sergey Brin have talked about their relationship with Steve Jobs and the influence that he has had on their company. But all this sort of soured a couple years ago when Android came out. Do we get a sense that the tension is escalating between the two companies, or is this just a good old-fashioned Silicon Valley battle?
I think this sort of public brawling and the personality fights and all of that has eased somewhat. But there's no doubt we're sort of in a new phase, which is on the product side, a lot more competition. So clearly, several years ago, after Google introduced Android, there was a lot of concern about inside Apple of really controlling its own destiny on more fronts. And after many years of work across the board, we're starting to see those products now.
How important is this new map product from Apple? Is it something that will make it a difference maker in this relationship with Google, or will Google, and the fact that it remains one of the most popular apps on the among Apple products, will that be able to maintain its hold on customers?
It's hard to say. I mean, the Google product remains sort of awesome, and Google's been working on mapping for a very long time, and the features are wonderful. The question will be whether sort of being the default makes a difference. Apple is going to be, its product is going to be what you see on your iPhone home screen. Now, of course, on Android devices, you'd see Google's product. So it'll really be a race over that kind of distribution and not just the feature sets, which I think appear pretty comparable. Both are pretty neat.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to watch because, as you said, a lot of people are very happy with Google Maps. It'll be interesting to see if Apple can make their product more inviting.